In an earlier video, we looked at this shipping and handling worksheet. It has a column here that shows the handling price. If the parcel weight is under 2 kilograms, the handling price is $10. If it's 2 kilograms or more, the handling price is $15. While you could do as we did at the time and type the value in here, if any of these values change, we need to look again at the handling and recalculate it. A much better approach would be to use a function to do the work for us. I'm going to delete these values and we're going to use what's called an if function to make a formula that will make this calculation for us. I'll type equal if and then the opening bracket. And we have to pose a logical test, the kind of test that can be answered with a yes/no answer. So we're going to say, is this value less than 2? And if it is less than 2, then this is the value we want Excel to put in the cell, 10. And if it's false, in other words, if the value in this cell is 2 kilograms or more, then we want Excel to use the value 15. And I'll close the bracket and press enter. And Excel has now made the calculation for us. It's tested to see if the value in this cell here is less than 2. If it is, it would have put 10 in this cell, but it's not, so it's put 15. This formula can be copied by dragging on the cell's fill handle, and in each case Excel has determined whether or not the cell to its immediate left contains a value which is less than 2. If we were to change this value, look what happens. I'm going to type 2.50 and Excel has re-looked at this formula to make sure that it's still calculating correctly, and it's changed the handling charge. If functions are very powerful and useful, and they can also be used with text entries rather than numbers. Let's look at this student worksheet. In this class, if a student gets an exam result that's 75 or more, they'll get a distinction. We can use an if function to make that calculation. I'll type equal if and then the opening bracket. The logical test is going to be, is this greater than or equal to 75? And then we type a comma, and then we tell Excel what to do if it is true. And if it is true, the student is going to get a distinction. Because this is a text entry, I'll type it inside double quote marks. I'll close the double quote marks and add a comma. Now if they're not a distinction student, they're a pass student. So I'm going to type another set of double quote marks and type the word pass. Close the quote marks. If I didn't want anything at all in the situation where they weren't a distinction student, I could just type 2 sets of quote marks. So I could do it just like this, and then the cell wouldn't have anything in it at all. But I'm going to type pass. And then I'm going to close the bracket and press enter. And now Excel is calculating and making this test as to whether or not the exam results are 75 or more, so that a student gets either a distinction or a pass. Again, I can copy this by dragging down on the fill handle, and Excel's made all my calculations for me. All if statements have the syntax of if and then a logical test, what to enter in the cell if the test is true, and what to enter in the cell if the test is false. Be sure that when you write an if function that you ask a question that can be answered with a yes or no. We can't, for example, ask what the student's exam results are because that can't be answered yes or no. But we can ask if the value in the cell to the immediate left is greater than or equal to 75 because that is a yes/no test.